While millions of people are screaming at their TVs, painting their faces, and feeling emotionally crushed because 11 strangers lost a game, there's a massive group of people who just don't care. And according to psychology and neuroscience, their brains might actually be wired differently. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, how you see sports fans and non-sports fans will completely change. First, let's clear something up. Not caring about sports does not make you boring. It doesn't mean you lack passion, and it definitely doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In fact, something fascinating is happening in your brain that's very different from the roughly 60% of Americans who follow sports religiously. So let's start with the obvious question. Why do so many people care so much about sports? Humans are tribal creatures. For most of human history, belonging to a group meant survival. Your tribe protected you, helped you hunt, and kept you alive. Sports are basically modern tribes, just with better merchandise. When someone watches their favorite team, their brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical involved in family bonds and close relationships. Wild, right? Your brain literally treats these athletes, many of them millionaires you've never met, as part of your clan. But here's where it gets interesting. People who don't obsess over sports tend to have lower tribal instincts. Their identity isn't tightly tied to belonging to a group. They're more individualistic. They're more likely to think, I don't need to be part of something bigger to feel complete. And research backs this up. A 2019 study found that people with low interest in sports showed far less us versus them thinking. Translation? They don't automatically dislike the other team just because it isn't theirs. Now let's talk about what's happening inside the brain of a hardcore sports fan, because it's intense. You know that feeling right before you open a present? That rush of anticipation? That's dopamine. Sports fans get that same hit during games. Every play, every possession, every moment of uncertainty. Constant microdoses of anticipation and reward. Brain scans actually show that watching your team activates the same reward centers as gambling. And here's the key: uncertainty. You don't know if your team will win. That unpredictability keeps dopamine flowing. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive reward schedule known to the human brain. It's the same principle that makes slot machines so powerful. Your brain doesn't care where the dopamine comes from. It just wants more. People who don't care about sports simply don't get this dopamine response from vicarious competition. And part of that may be genetic. Research suggests that differences in dopamine receptor genes can predict how much someone enjoys spectator competition. So your total indifference to whether the Lakers win or lose might literally be in your DNA. There's another psychological difference too. Sports fans often experience something called birging, basking in reflected glory. When their team wins, they say, "We won." When the team loses, suddenly it's, "They lost." People who don't obsess over sports are less likely to do this. Their self-concept is more stable. They don't need external victories to feel successful. Their self-esteem depends less on things completely outside their control. Now, this isn't about one being better than the other, just different. Here's something that might surprise you. Sports fans often score higher on certain measures of empathy. They practice caring deeply about the struggles of people they don't personally know. So why don't non-sports people feel that same empathy for athletes? It comes down to empathy allocation. Everyone has a limited emotional budget. People who don't care about sports often direct that empathy toward different places: close relationships, creative projects, social causes, art, ideas, nature. A 2021 study found that people with low sports interest scored higher in openness to experience and appreciation of beauty. They're still chasing meaning, connection, and emotional highs, just through different channels. For some people, not caring about sports is also a defense mechanism. Maybe they were excluded in gym class. Maybe sports culture felt aggressive or unwelcoming. Maybe they never understood why adults scream at TVs over a ball. Or maybe they just find it boring. All of those are valid. This difference also explains why sports fans and non-sports fans sometimes completely misunderstand each other. It comes down to how meaning is experienced. Sports fans find meaning in narrative, the underdog story, the comeback, the rivalry, the championship run. It's real-life drama with genuine stakes and unpredictable outcomes. Non-sports people often see that randomness as meaningless. They think, why emotionally invest in something I can't control, performed by people I don't know, in a game that doesn't affect my life? They're not wrong. But sports fans aren't wrong either. It's just two different ways of satisfying the human need for story and significance. Psychologists call this parasocial investment versus direct engagement. Sports fans build one-sided emotional relationships with teams and players. Non-sports people prefer investing emotional energy where there's reciprocity, where their actions matter, where they're participants, not spectators. Neither is superior. They're just different strategies for navigating life. Interestingly, people who don't obsess over sports often report feeling more present in their own lives. They're not spending hours each week emotionally invested in someone else's struggle. They're engaged in their own. There's something quietly radical about that. So, what does all this mean? If you don't care about sports, you're not missing out on some essential human experience. Your brain's reward system, your tribal instincts, and your empathy are simply calibrated differently. And that's perfectly okay. So the next time someone asks, "Did you see the game?" and you genuinely could not care less, remember this: you're not broken, you're not boring, you're just playing a different game. One that might, just maybe, have higher stakes.